Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Good News Epic segment right here on the Dr. Pat Show, Transformation Talk Radio. Joining me here today is Dr. Edward Schaeffer, Chief of Urology at Northwestern Medicine. Oh, my gosh. We love our doctors at Northwestern. We did so many amazing interviews. And today what we're talking about is a program that many of you listening to the show may relate to, something that they're doing at Northwestern that is literally a game changer. And today, Dr. Schaeffer is going to give us the update up close and personal. Dr. Schaeffer, welcome. It's great to have you today.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about some exciting new things happening at Northwestern.
Yeah. And you know, the C word, cancer. I don't know a single person that when they hear that word doesn't cringe. But today, the work that you've done, your urology program, ranked number one, I don't even know how many consecutive years, is up there for a reason. So let's talk about some of the reasons and some of the latest information that many people don't know about prostate cancer.
Yeah, so Northwestern University's Department of Urology has historically always done a tremendous job taking care of our urologic cancer patients. That includes individuals with prostate cancer, bladder cancer, kidney cancer. And we're very proud of what we've done in that group. And I've been at Northwestern for about 3 years now. And I'm a urologic oncologist who takes care of men with prostate cancer. So I was really inspired to kind of build upon all the greatness that has happened here to date and really expand our team across many different specialties. Because we know that when an individual is diagnosed with cancer, it's not necessarily just treated by a single specialist. It requires a multidisciplinary approach to deliver, I think, the best contemporary modern medicine. So we've been able to kind of bring a whole group of individuals together, medical oncologists, radiation oncologists, geneticists, and individuals involved in the recovery process, men, and so we brought them all together, and we've been able to create a kind of a comprehensive patient-based institute for this. And this was all really spearheaded by a generous donor named Michael Polsky. He's a Chicago energy entrepreneur, and he was really inspired to partner with his long-term friends at Northwestern Medicine to do something differently. And he has a family history of prostate cancer. His father and his grandfather had it. So I think that was what gave him inspiration to partner with us to create this institute. So very exciting times to bring together all of our experts under one roof in one location to really provide for our patients the best multidisciplinary care for our patients.
Well, I think you said something very key, and I think that's what sets you guys apart, and that is partnership. That is so important for all of us to be looking at partnership and what it means, because in the world we live in, we have to be in a way to communicate and bring brilliant ideas together. And that's what you all have done. I think there is a piece to this that our listeners may or may not know, and that is some of the latest facts on prostate cancer. And this is not only for men, But, it's for the women that are listening to the show today, and they're looking at their spouse, their husbands, their partners, their boyfriends, whatever that is, and wanting to know, how do I even begin to figure out whether or not who's at risk and why? Let's go over some of the information. Who gets prostate cancer, and what are some of the trends you've seen?
Yeah, those are great questions. So men get prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is a disease of the aging male. So every year that a man gets older, he has a higher chance of being diagnosed with prostate cancer. It typically does not affect men in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. Sometimes we see it in men in their 40s, but it's rare. The average age of diagnosis is 68. So it's a disease associated with aging men. Mm-hmm. Now, we have ways to screen for and pick up prostate cancers while they're early and they're contained. So many men will tell me when I see them, if they have a new diagnosis of prostate cancer, doc, I have no symptoms at all. How could I possibly have this? Right. And we men often don't have symptoms because we have these advanced tests, these PSA-based screening. It's a blood test that can really pick up cancers when they're early. And so with that in mind, we can really use the PSA test to pick up prostate cancers. And if we pick up prostate cancers at the right time in a man, we can really, provide the best, most directed care for them. So that's the second kind of important theme, is that screening for prostate cancer with a blood test, which we typically recommend around the age of 50 to 55 in an average risk guy, will help save their life from prostate cancer. So that's important. The other thing to remember that every one of your listeners can think about is their family history. And this is important not just for prostate cancer, but it's important for their overall medicine and their medical experience. So when I see somebody in clinic, I ask them if they have a family history of prostate cancer, any uncles or father or brother who are diagnosed. Also, I want to know if they have a family history of breast cancer or ovarian cancer, because all those things places them at an increased risk for being diagnosed with prostate cancer. And in those individuals, we may actually recommend screening at a younger age 40 versus age 50. And so those are also important things. And then ancestry matters. So men of African ancestry, they're also at higher risk for being diagnosed with prostate cancer. So again, we typically recommend screening starting at age 40 versus age 50 or 55.
This is vital information, especially some of the things that you mentioned that men would not think about. They would not make the connection necessarily to a mom or a grandma that had ovarian cancer. And I think that's important to bring that to the forefront, right? Because the questions you ask, if you're me, right, you're asking, anybody in my family have prostate cancer, but you don't think to ask, well, wait a minute, how about ovarian cancer? And that's an important point, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that's new. That's not something that we've known for decades. That's something that really emerged in the last 5 years. And so we've really had to change how we think about, talking about family history with our patients. And so, absolutely, we want to keep tabs on that. And so our patients can really help us tremendously. They can help us tremendously by being accurate and being thoughtful about their family history. Yeah. And it helps. If they help us, we can help them.
And, one of the things that I want to also reiterate again is that, for those of us that have dear loved ones in our family that are people of color, the statistic on Black men, I mean, how new is that? I think it's almost double, if not more.
Yeah, so men of African ancestry are at increased risk for being diagnosed with prostate cancer. And we don't exactly know why that is. We think some of it has to do with genetics, and some of it has to just do with, appropriate screening and testing. Yeah. But nevertheless, we know that African American men are more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. And, if it's picked up at appropriate stages, it's definitely curable.
Right.
If it's picked up at later stages, then it can be harder to tackle. So again, we want our listeners out there to have increased awareness about their own personal family history of cancers, and also think about their ancestry, where they're from, because genetics also plays a role.
And let's talk about some of the least known tidbits of information about this. I know that this is one of the greatest misconceptions, not just for prostate cancer, but cancer in general, the biopsy. Some doctors say, yep, we need to do a biopsy. Other doctors say, nope. And yet many patients don't ask the next question, which is, why? So tell us about biopsies. Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah. So for your listeners out there, a biopsy is just a name for a procedure where we take a small sample of the suspicious looking area, and we would then look at it under the microscope and see if it's a cancer or not. And there are some cancers that we diagnose, and we're only able to diagnose with a biopsy. Prostate cancer is one of those. So there's no other way to diagnose prostate cancer. But there are some cancers, lung cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, that we don't necessarily need to do a biopsy. We can look at a CAT scan or an MRI and make a diagnosis that way. So, but in general, for prostate, for breast cancer, for colon cancer, we would typically rely on or need a biopsy, which is a small sample of the suspicious area, to make an accurate diagnosis, so that we could make a recommendation for an appropriate treatment.
Yeah. There's so much we can talk about, but I want to make sure everybody knows how they can find out more from you. And I know you're doing a lot of these interviews. So please tell them how they can find out more, because my next question is about Northwestern Memorial. And I'm really interested in what you are doing totally out of the box that you can share.
Yeah, so Northwestern Medicine is an amazing place. So if you haven't visited us, you got to come by and see it. We now have 12 hospitals all over 8 counties in northern Illinois, and we really deliver amazing comprehensive care. Northwestern Medicine, resources can be found at nm.org, www.nm.org. And among the, urology department and among urologic cancers, we have made tremendous strides in our already great program. So we have a fully integrated Urologic Cancer Institute now. This is a new initiative, really funded by a generous, philanthropist, Michael Polsky. And this is really designed to deliver comprehensive care for our urologic cancer patients. Within that institute, we have genetics. So as we just mentioned, family histories of breast and prostate cancer are important. And if we think that you have a risk, we can actually do genetic testing on our patients. And we have counselors in our clinic all the time, which is pretty amazing. It's pretty awesome for our patients. We also have a tremendous research program. And the researchers are always behind the scenes, but they help us bring new cures and new innovations to the clinic. And so although that's often invisible to the patient, it's quite visible and at the forefront for all of our providers to really kind of partner with them to create better ways to treat these cancers.
Wow. Dr. Schaeffer, thank you for doing this interview. And please let all the doctors and participants and researchers and people at Northwestern know that we're very grateful for what you do, not just in your advanced, out-of-the-box creative initiatives, but also for stepping out and investing in educating us. And that's what I think is rare. And in today's world, it's one of the most important things we can do to help people know how to make informed decisions. So thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, well, thank you for having us on the show. This has been great.
Last question, personal message. What do you want to leave us with?
Happy Tuesday, Wednesday.
Now I know you're a busy doctor, because I woke up this morning and didn't remember it was Wednesday. Happy New Year, Dr. Schaeffer. Hey, everybody, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Are you new to playing with the law of attraction or a seasoned pro looking for an easy and organized way to monitor your co-creation endeavors as you draw them from the immaterial planes into your physical reality? Then join me over at goldenotter.us for bi-monthly new and full moon rituals where we plant seeds of intention, then harvest the fruits of our desires as part of a dynamic community in the members-only Lunar Manifestations Forum. I'm Autumn Seibel, host of Golden Otter Radio, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream, and I can't wait to meet you.
Hey everybody, welcome to our good news segment. And I got to tell you, this is super really good news. And I'm going to tell you why. For many of us, we have been told over the past 2 decades, don't eat this, don't eat that, eat more of this, and really no good reason. But if you're someone like me, one of the things that you absolutely did not cut out of your diet, oh yes it is, eggs. Dr. Mickey Rubin joining me here today, Executive Director of the Egg Nutrition Center. And he's looking at, as he's done for most of his career, he's looking at foods that serve to best suit us from a nutritional point of view. And then he's now taking this information out into the world, especially since he has been involved so deeply in positions such as Vice President of Nutrition Research at National Dairy Council. Good news for everybody. Good news. Dr. Rubin is somebody that doesn't just dig deeply into nutrition and research, but is out there saying this is what we need to be able to live long and prosper. Dr. Rubin, great to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. It's a pleasure.
You know, this is one of these conversations and arguments I've had with friends and families because I would not give up the egg. Help me here.
Well, you know, it's that time of year where everybody's looking to make their New Year's resolutions and trying to make their healthy diet resolutions. And, you know, when it comes to something that you can really incorporate into your diet that's such a simple, small change, but really impactful one, it's eggs. You know, eggs are so versatile. They can fit into a number of different diet plans, and they deliver so many key nutrients that you can't really get anywhere else. Things like choline and vitamin B12 and zinc and selenium. It's really a unique nutrient package, to say nothing of the high-quality protein that's coming along with it. It's at only 70 calories. It's a lot of nutrition for the calories.
And, you know, let's talk about this because it is really true that many of us have gone through these stages where folks really were absolutely obsessed with the facts that we should cut certain things out of our diets, which now we know have been super nutritious. I mean, you know, when we look at something like coconut, for example, and coconut oil, but eggs, this was something so intuitive for many of us as we looked at this and we're thinking about, here we are. Eggs, egg white. I want to talk to you about a couple of things. What are some of the attributes we should be aware of? Because there's the big debate. Egg whites, egg yolks, what do I do?
Well, you know, everybody likes the egg whites for the protein, and that's fine. But, you know, it's important to know, and a lot of people may not appreciate, that the yolk is where all the nutrition is.
Yeah.
It's where the vitamins and minerals are. The things like the B12, the zinc, the choline that we mentioned, it's all in the yolk. And when you toss out the yolk, you're tossing out all those valuable nutrients. You know, things like choline that we're learning is really important for brain development, both for during pregnancy and infancy, as well as optimal brain function later in life. You know, when you're tossing the yolk, you're tossing out the choline. So it's important to really, I think, keep the yolk. And, actually, that's the delicious part of the egg.
Yeah.
So when you toss the yolk, you're not only tossing the nutrition, you're tossing the delicious part of the egg and the flavor. So, we've really come a long way. It used to be that, avoid eggs because of cholesterol. And now, cholesterol is not what we thought it was. The dietary guidelines no longer classify cholesterol as a nutrient of concern because what the science has now shown is that when you eat cholesterol, it doesn't really significantly impact the cholesterol in your body. So that's not really something that we need to be concerned of anymore. And now we're actually focused on the benefits of eggs. It's really changed the paradigm a little bit. It's not what should we avoid, it's what should we include, and all the nutrients in eggs are certainly something to include.
Yeah, and so what I think about is, it's really a joke. Oh, here we go. It's a joke to toss the yolk. Sorry, I had to do that. But let's talk about this, though, in terms of, look, these are the goals we set for the New Year's resolutions. I'm one of these people that I work a lot of hours, and every once in a while, if I don't have my protein hit, I call it, I'm kind of lost for the day. And I've just started now to get into the habit where I'm bringing hard-boiled eggs to work. And I'm just like sitting here, 11 o'clock, I'm like popping in a couple of eggs. What does that do, if you could fill us in on how it feeds and becomes fuel for the brain?
Absolutely. I do the same thing. I like to boil up about a dozen at the beginning of the week and then have it for breakfast or take it with me. Because what that does, and there's some really good research to demonstrate this, is that when you have that high quality protein at breakfast or a snack, it really helps you get to that next meal. So you're not snacking on some other foods that might be, not as healthy. And so it really helps you stay on track in your diet. It helps you, really feel fuller for longer and really help you stay focused and sort of help you stay on track throughout the day.
Okay, so let's talk about, if we could educate and get on board here. There have been many, many misconceptions about eggs, many. Everything from how to best cook them, how to best eat them, when to eat them, don't eat them before you go to bed. I mean, they're just, I think they probably have been one of the most talked about foods on the menu. Help us clarify some of the misconceptions. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. They're also probably one of the most interesting foods on the menu when it comes to creativity and what you can eat. But what are some of the misconceptions?
Well, some of eggs are not just for breakfast anymore. Eggs are great throughout the day. They're great for breakfast. They're great for lunch. And eggs for dinner is also great. I like to have, an egg frittata for dinner because that's a great way that you can incorporate vegetables more into your diet as well. There's actually some really great research to show that when you pair eggs with vegetables, the healthy fats in the eggs help your body absorb the nutrients from the vegetables even better. So it's a great pairing. It's not just for breakfast anymore. You can do a lot with eggs. There's one of the most versatile foods. You see a lot of chefs putting an egg on it and putting an egg on different things to enhance the flavor, but it's also enhancing the nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, also part of this too now is we're looking at the level of creativity, especially in feeding our children. And I honestly think the kids got the biggest disadvantage when the parents and the adults also went crazy about don't eat too many eggs. But we're now finding that even for children, the way to absorb or actually incorporate eggs in their daily day is super, super important. Isn't that true as well?
Absolutely. And, when you think about some of the first foods that infants and toddlers are going to be having when they're first starting to move over into solids and picking up foods, what's better than a scrambled egg? They can pick it up, they can eat it, and it's just chock full of those important nutrients that certainly at that stage of life are critically important. The choline with the cognitive development, the brain development, it's so, so important at that stage of life. And it's such a great way to incorporate, it's just an easy food for those youngsters to eat and pick up, and you're getting great nutrition at the same time.
Okay, so before we kind of get really going here on a few things, how can people find out more about this? And then I also want to talk about the fact that eggs also perhaps are one of the most affordable sources of protein. How can people find out more?
Well, they can go to our website at eggnutritioncenter.org. We have a lot of great nutrition information and some healthy recipes, so be sure and check that out. But when you talk about the affordability, I mean, that is a really key piece here because everybody's pretty cost conscious these days. And when you talk about a food that's so nutrient dense, has the great protein, the best protein that you can get, and it's only about 15 cents for one large egg. I mean, think about all you're getting, the nutrition bang for your buck there at only 15 cents for one large egg. There really is no better deal.
Yeah. you personally, all the interviews you've done, all the research you've done, now you're out and you are literally a spokesperson to bring us into a new way of taking great care of ourselves. What do you think the challenges are for us in this country to kind of get on board with that?
Well, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different this diet or that diet. It could be all that information, and sometimes misinformation could be challenging for everybody to absorb. But, I think there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different avenues to a healthy diet. But if you kind of keep some simple, make some simple changes, incorporate some, nutrient-dense foods like eggs, whether you're more of a plant-forward diet, and eggs on top of your salad are great. Some people are trying to, lower their carb intake, and eggs are great for that. I think just simple changes. And, if it's, I think it's just try to stay away from the clutter of misinformation out there. I think that could be very challenging.
Wow. I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for doing these interviews and taking the message out there. Last question for you. And again, thank you. What's your personal message? What do you want to say to parents, children, folks out there that have set the goal of losing weight, getting in great shape? What do you want to say to them about this?
Well, for me, the thing that always helps, small changes. There's a lot of different avenues to health and wellness. Find what works for you, and then make those small changes little bit by bit. Because I think what works, you have to find what works for you the best, because what works for one might not work for the other. And then stick to those small changes, and then you'll be successful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for getting the word out. Thank you for doing what you do.
I appreciate it. You too. Take care.
You bet. Hey, everybody, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Lights go out and I can be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against.
Are you tired of being tired? Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. Did you know the adrenal glands, the workhorse of the body? They are the means by which you position yourself in life for whatever comes your way. Tiny but mighty, producing hormones the body uses to promote energy and vitality. These adrenals determine how you respond to stress, and when depleted, the body loses its ability to function powerfully when we need it most. The much-needed adrenaline or epinephrine is not available for emergency situations. Cortisone and cortisol, the longer-acting anti-stress adrenal hormones, can also become depleted due to the pace of our everyday lives. We overwork and undernutrition, our most powerful ally that helps us to live the lives we desire. We are able to determine the optimum function of the adrenals and put your system back in balance. Contact us today to feel powerfully energized at 888-777-4232 or visit us at maryjanemack.com.
Are you ready to create a life you'll really love? Then you'll want to tune in to the hit show Life Design Radio, From Adversity to Awesome with Susan DiLorenzo, live each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. No matter where you are in your adversity story, Life Design Radio has got you covered. Get ready to feel inspired, enlightened, and motivated. For more information about working with Susan, visit SusanDiLorenzo.com.
Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Moms, are you ready to become enlightened, empowered, and stress-free? Well, get ready, because you are about to tune into vibrant, powerful moms helping everyday women create an extraordinary life with Debbie Pokornik. Each week, Debbie discusses topics to help you become self-aware, inspired, and on track to create the life you crave. It's time to stop settling and start thriving. And it all begins now on Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Vibrant Powerful Mom Show. I'm your host, Debbie Pokornik, and my mission is to help you tune in to all aspects of your vibrant, powerful self so that you can fully enjoy the life you've come here to live. and by doing so, create a positive influence on the planet as a whole. Today, my guest is actually a repeat guest, someone who I enjoy immensely, named Angelia LaRue. Angie has a fascinating personal story, which she shared with us on a previous show back in September of this year. So in case you missed it, I'm going to give you a bit of her bio, but for the fascinating story, you're actually going to have to go back and listen to that one because I won't be getting into it. So here's her bio. Angelia LaRue is a certified master Christologist and energy practitioner, healer, psychic, teacher, spiritual counselor, psychic surgeon, manufacturer of orgone generators, and has a small lab making carbon-60 oils. Angie experienced a spontaneous awakening of consciousness in December 2011, and since that time has been following the voice and nudges of her higher self and the divine to uncover her life's purpose and play all in. Since then, she has helped many others to do the same and get fired up about being alive on this planet. Now, today, Angie is here to teach you how to manifest the reality you want, which is, of course, totally aligned with living a vibrant, powerful life. So, Angie, welcome to the Vibrant, Powerful Mom Show.
Thank you. Thank you, Debbie, and hello, listening audience.
It's so great to have you back here with us. So today we're going to talk about manifesting things. And I thought it'd be a good idea to break this topic down into super easy chunks. So perhaps we could start with having you explain to our listeners what manifesting is. I mean, it's not magic, but sometimes it can feel like it is. So can you help us to understand it a bit better?
Absolutely. And I just realized when you read the bio that I have an update. As of a couple of weeks ago, I am now an ordained reverend. I finished seminary school. So
good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was kind of a surprise. I still thought I had over a year to go, but anyway.
Oh, it's funny when that happens, eh? Oh, now I'm done.
It's my graduation. Oh my goodness. So what is manifesting? Manifesting is attracting the people, the items, the situations, and the opportunities into our life that we desire. And we all have those secret, wishes of how we would really like something to be a certain way, or, we really need, our car fixed or a new car, or whatever, that thing that's actually outside of our reach. We can't quite get it, that networking opportunity or whatever. And it is how to use that wishful thought, that hope, that desire, that want to align the energy and actually attract that to yourself.
Right. To make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I have some stories that I might throw in throughout for my own experience, because it's so fascinating how it works. So you mentioned to me that it's a great idea to practice non-attachment manifesting first. Can you explain what you mean by this?
So non-attachment is really where we need to be in our psychological, emotional state. And that's really a challenge because, our car is broken down, we're having to, take the bus or rely on other people. And, we really need that new transmission. And so we have strong attachment to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can't manifest that new transmission from a place of attachment. We have to be completely neutral. We have to be in a very surrendered place where we don't really care. But how do we care when we don't have the transmission? And it's just practice. We can actually practice how to become neutral or have no attachment to an outcome. And a good way to kind of train the skill up is to start with things that are possible and we actually don't have attachment to. So in the morning saying, I want butterflies today. Then we look for the butterflies to appear in our life. Maybe our friend is wearing a butterfly necklace or butterfly earrings, or butterflies fly by us, or they're suddenly on our screensaver, or, so we just watch for that butterfly energy as we desire butterflies in the morning, and we we feel the feeling that, that delight or enjoyment or that sense of magic, whatever that emotion is that's attached to butterflies for us, when we feel that, as we put our wish out to the universe, that frequency, it's a frequency, and it attracts that frequency back to us. So, then watching for the butterflies showing up in your life that day,
Nice.
or it could be a parking spot,
Yes.
manifesting your parking spot. One of my favorites to do besides parking spots is sales on items that I need in the store.
Oh.
So,
You might get a little attached to those ones. Right? You know how you said the non-attachment?
Right,
I can
right.
see being a little attached that, I really need this sale. So that's
Right.
a really key piece to this, right? You have
Exactly.
to be able
And
to
so
say, I
that's
want
where-
this sale.
Right. And so
Yeah.
that's where we get to practice not caring if it's actually on sale. So we want to do this from a internal feeling of amusement, but not attachment. We want to, it's like flirting with the universe. It's like this fun little dance, right? Where we don't have attachment, but we would be tickled if, or we would be amused if, right? But
Right.
the attachment, that clinging, that neediness, it doesn't work with boyfriends. Not going to work with
Darn it.
manifesting.
Yeah. Nice. I really like that when you explain the butterflies there, that it wasn't just about a real live butterfly. Because, of course,
Right.
I mean, where I live right now, it's getting quite cool and there's not going to be well, I shouldn't say there's not going to be a butterfly. In another month, there's not a chance. The butterfly would freeze as it's flying through the air, right?
Right. And
But-
you might actually find an actual butterfly in the middle of winter, but it might not be living.
Well, that's true. That is true. But being aware of pictures and noticing the different ways it can show up, that friend wearing the necklace, that's really neat. And I do find for myself, I am just tickled with the messages that I get from the universe when I'm paying attention. And so by putting something like that out, my thing is often dragonflies. I just love them. And they just show up then all over. Like you'll be looking at a billboard and you'll go, oh my gosh, look at that. There's a great big dragonfly on that billboard. Yeah. So it's nice. It makes life kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, that person has, a decal of a dragonfly in the back of their window. So looking for, and that also helps us in learning the universe's language. So now when we're trying to actually, manifest that transmission for our car that we need, we're more open to the different ways that it comes to us, right? It's not, our local parts store giving away a free transmission, but it's, the father of a friend who is going to junk a car, but it actually has a transmission in it that can be converted to your car, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's, learning, here's that transmission, not the way I expected, but here it is. So it's this idea of having no expectations. And from no expectations, we can receive it in the way that it comes.
That's so interesting. The next question that I want to ask you is if you can share some stories or examples of things people have manifested. But before you do, I just want to share a story from my neighbor. Her and I are both juicing celery right now and drinking it every morning. And so she wanted to get a juicer and looked at the prices of them. And they're fairly expensive to get a good one. And celery is something a little tough to juice. And so she has a blender that could work, and then she could put it through a cloth. It's more work for her, but it's doable. So she decided that, you know what, I'm just going to be happy with this. So I was in a store and I texted her to say, hey, this juicer is on sale. You interested? And I told her the price and everything. And she said, you know what, this thing I'm doing right now is working okay for me. So I think I'm just going to stick with what I'm doing. It won't cost me anything more and all will be great. I said, okay, no problem. Well, the next day she texted me, guess what? She said, my so-and-so just contacted me and her mother has a juicer. She's getting rid of it and she wants to give it to me. And so it's exactly what you just said. So beautiful because she let go of any connection, any desire. It wasn't like, oh, I really want one. Now it was, I can make do with what I have. And the universe said, all right, then here you go. You can have a juicer. Nice.
That's
So how about
beautiful.
you? What are some examples you could share?
There's a fun one which isn't mine, but then I'll share a few of mine too. It's a lady that just lives a few towns away, and she had hit retirement. Money was really tight, and she still had a significant, about $30,000 left on her mortgage, and it just wasn't going to work on her fixed income, and she needed that mortgage taken care of. And so that's what she put out to the universe. And in a complete surprise, about 6 weeks later, somebody came and asked her, what do you really need to feel, comfortable and safe and do your work into the world? And she said, I really need my mortgage paid off. And they paid her mortgage off.
Oh my gosh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Nice.
So for myself, I've manifested 2 houses, one for my ex-husband and one for a recent boyfriend. And I manifested my minivan, which was quite the story because I got very particular with it. And my list of things that I wanted it to have exactly was almost an impossible list. I wanted a Japanese-made vehicle at an American price, and I wanted it to be the limited, version of it with all the bells and whistles, the super nice version. I wanted I wanted it to still have new car smell and not cost more than like $2,500.
Okay, that's a tough order, a tall order.
Yeah, it was almost the impossible list, and it actually came to me within about 2 weeks, and it turns out that the Mercury Villager is just skinned by Mercury, so the outside shell, but the entire engine and all the mechanical working parts are actually Toyota, Subaru, something like that. It's Japanese.
Okay.
And it had been owned by a family who had taken really excellent care of it. It actually still had new car smell. Everything worked on it. And they had just put brand new Michelin all-weather tires on it too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So how did it come to you? Like, how did you find out about it?
So I put the word out, and Spirit is telling me this is important to do, but the universe needs avenues to bring it to you too. And so I just put the word out among people. This is what I'm looking for. If you happen to see something, let me know. And a gentleman who I had told came to me. I said, listen, I found an ad for this, and they're willing, to drive 2 hours. If we'll drive 2 hours and meet, and they'll show it to you. And they wanted $5,000 for it. But it was exactly what I wanted, and I managed to talk them down to $2,500 with cash.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
that is so cool. Okay, so now I'm sure people are either, walking away because they don't believe us, or, and I think more of them will be doing this, they're leaning in now. They want to know, okay, so how do I do this? If you don't already know how to do this, then you want to know how to do this. So let's teach them. Okay, what can we do to teach people how?
So a lot of us have been doing it already. We just call it synchronicity, but there's something that we desire, and then kind of magically within a few days, it shows up, and it's like this incredible synchronicity. And there's this feeling like, ooh, I feel like something heard me almost, right? But no, that couldn't be the case. It's just synchronicity. So really the difference between synchronicity and manifesting is just becoming consciously aware that we're manifestors, that we do this all the time. And when we don't believe in manifesting and we just notice the synchronicities around us, we're actually doing that from a place of non-attachment. We're thinking about what we want, and then, oh my goodness, oh, look at that. I was just thinking about that the other day, and here it is. So practicing that non-attachment that we had when we didn't believe in manifesting in the first place is very helpful. And then practicing, and meditation helps, meditating to a point of no mind. And the reason meditation helps is it helps us learn to control our emotions and our desires and our inner head talk so that we can put our order out to the universe and do that from a very neutral place, or just the feeling of, amusement or excitement, or, oh, this is what it's going to feel like to have this wonderful new friend, right? But having zero attachment to it. If the new friend comes, oh my goodness, that'll be wonderful. And if the new friend doesn't come, that's okay, because there's this other group I wanted to join anyway, and, I don't have a lot of time, right? So that neutrality.
And especially neutrality about the actual outcome, because you can, I mean, in your case, the example you shared was super specific. But sometimes you're better off not like to be specific about what you want, but not to dictate that outcome. Like it needs to come to me by this avenue. You know, this is the way it has to come or whatever, because we actually change things, right? We're attached now because we've hooked on to the outcome.
Right. And we can get super specific about what we wanted. This house that I manifested, I asked for a garden tub with no jets in it. I asked for a big, huge wooden fan if it had a fan. And there were some other specific things. I wanted landscaping taken care of. I don't want to have to be mowing the yard, et cetera, et cetera. So it ended up being an HOA where that's all taken care of. It has the garden tub. It has the big fan. It has the walk-in closet. But for the price range that I wanted, there had to be sacrifices. So I ended up with a super small kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So the universe will deliver it however it can. But setting time limits, I need it by this time, or something like that, that's not going to be as effective. But we could be fairly specific. You can ask for, all white butterflies from the universe or all orange butterflies, and probably get that, right? But if you want some color that doesn't exist, or you want them to all happen by 2:00 in the afternoon, that gets too specific, and that reduces the probability.
So what happens then if a person wants to, let's say they need the house and they need the house before the end of the year, for example. They can't put the timeline on it?
Well, if it's about the middle of the year when they're asking for that, yes. But if they're asking December 15th, it just reduces the probability a lot. The more time the universe has to kind of find, potential, right? So this is kind of how manifesting works. It is a mathematical possibility. If it is a mathematical possibility in your region, the probability increases dramatically. So if I wanted to manifest deer in my yard today, there's a super high probability I can do that because deer do come down into this town. But I'm in North America. If I wanted to manifest an elephant in my yard today, and I specified like a living actual elephant, I probably wouldn't get it. But if I didn't specify that living elephant, because that's never occurred in North America, so it's not in the probability pot, right?
Right. But unless the circus is in town and the elephant happens to escape, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Exactly. But if I just specified elephant, it could happen because it could be a toy elephant, a child drops. It could be, a photograph torn out of a magazine that blows in and sticks to a bush with an elephant on it. Or it could be a friend who comes with a little, pottery, something gift for me of an elephant, right? So does that make sense?
It does. It makes sense. I think, like for myself, I've kind of been told not to worry about time because the universe doesn't work in the timeline that we do. It's not linear time for the universe. So I don't usually think about that, but I will put parameters on something like if I want to be part of a convention and I really want to go and I don't have the money to go, then I will put out that I need that money to come to me before the deadline for the convention. But I learned since then that I'm actually better off not to need the money to come to me, but instead to have it work out that I'm allowed to go to the convention.
Exactly.
Because then I might be asked to volunteer at it or something else might, come up.
It opens it up more. It allows the universe more options in how it can present it to you. Right. And it also helps us to not be so attached, right? Because we want to be in an open, surrendered, just excited to see what the universe comes up with emotional stance. So the looser we can keep that, the more our probability increases. And then keeping it within the probability pot for our region, not trying to manifest elephants in North America or something. It needs to actually exist, have the possibility, and it can be slim. It can be super slim. Another great way to practice is dice. And I spent a couple of years doing this with just practicing with friends who were manifestors. And we would try to roll the dice that we wanted, like double fives or, snake eyes or, whatever. And if you were going very specifically, like for snake eyes or double sixes, you could get it because it's in the probability pot, right? The dice it's
right
actually there.
Yeah. But the non-attachment can be an issue.
Right.
if you must roll it to stay in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we did good. I mean, we did incredibly good. But it was even easier to manifest like a 7 because there was multiple ways you could get 7 out of 2 dice.
Right.
Or a 6. Instead of double 3s, if you just want to roll a 6, there's multiple different ways the universe can deliver that 6.
Right.
So dice is a really good way to learn non-attachment and emptiness because it's very instant, right? You're shaking it in your hand, stating what you want, letting go utterly, and dropping the dice. So it's a very quick way to learn the state of mind and emotions that you need to be in to manifest it. And then there's this tipping point when you start manifesting what you actually want, where the ego reattaches. It gets all excited. Woohoo! Oh my God, I'm doing it. And then you can't do it again for a while until you get back to non-attachment again.
Right. I have certainly manifested a job that when I first heard about the job, I told them, thank you so much for creating this job for me, because I just felt it was my job. And I had just like 2 days before sat there thinking, so I think I need to find a job. I think it's time, to go out. And this was quite a few years ago, but it, worked perfectly. And I wasn't attached to it. Once I was in the running for it, I had a few people tell me that I had very little chance of getting it because there was many other people in the running. And at first I started to buy into that. And I thought, no, you know what? I'm just going to believe it's mine because I know it's mine. And it was mine.
Absolutely.
So we're running through the time here like so quickly. I feel like we need to share some tips that people can use when they're in a lower state. They wake up in the morning and maybe something really disappointing happens, or they just don't feel good, or they've had a disagreement with their partner, their colleague. And so their energy is quite low. And I've been taught that when your energy is low, whatever you've manifested could come to you, but you'll miss it because it's a different frequency. It's just going to sail on by. So do you have just a couple little tips you could share for that?
Sure. Or when you're in a low frequency, you're still manifesting. You're just manifesting things you don't want.
Exactly.
So 2 of the quickest things I can think of, or 3 of them. The first would be meditating, but that can be very difficult. Another thing that works is anything that makes you laugh. Go to a joke site or go watch kitten videos or doggy videos, right? Get your frequency up, something that makes you laugh. And another thing that works really well to raise your frequency is music, particularly if it's something that makes you want to dance. And you can change your frequency in about 5 minutes,
Nice.
Simply, unless you allow your mind to continue to ruminate about whatever it was that caused the low frequency in the first place. So if you don't control your brain and you let it just keep chewing on that bone, you won't be able to change your frequency. But if, you're just like, I don't like feeling like this, I'm going to stop my thoughts and I'm going to put some good music on and have that bagel I've been wanting to have, boom, you can switch your frequency really quickly.
Yes. And that's where you call up a girlfriend and you say, okay, I just need to laugh. Like,
Make me laugh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love it. And to me, those are really great tips to remember, especially the not ruminating, because I think we do get stuck in that place of, I'm still worrying about my son or whatever, instead of letting go of that and saying, okay, I'm going to trust here and I'm just going to raise my level. I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to talk to my friend. I'm going to laugh. Yeah. You can stay connected with Angie through her website at crystalarrays.com. That's crystalarrays.com. That address will be up on the blog that is attached to this interview at empoweringenergy.com. And while you're there, you can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation, or you can check on my same blog and get the address for her YouTube video called 7 Ways to Calm Yourself and Raise Your Frequency. Angie, thank you so much for joining us again today. It has been wonderful talking to you about manifesting. And I love when we're able to take something and then break it down into nice, easy pieces so people are able to take it and start using it right away. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to our listeners. You are why we do this. So thank you for listening. With much respect for you and the journey you are on, this is Debbie Pokornik and her guest, Angelia LaRue, wishing you a vibrant and powerful day.
You've been listening to Vibrant, Powerful Moms with host Debbie Pokornik. If you've enjoyed this show, please give us a shout out and leave us a positive review. To find out more about Debbie and her sisterhood of vibrant, powerful moms, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.